PowerShell and CLI. And we have just discussed what is virtual network. Now in today's session, we are going to continue with the same topic called virtual network. But before starting off this particular topic, any question anyone have, please let me know. Yes, Kumar.
Yeah, regarding while connecting that get AZ group while PowerShell, I am getting that no tenant found in that context like that I'm getting.
So for this one, but if you might be check your error message, if you read it here, in that above it is mentioning it as you need to go with AZ, connect AZ account hyphen tenant ID you need to mention it.
Yeah, I tried that also. After tried connect AZ account hyphen tenant ID, it's connected. After that, I get it my tenant ID and my email ID in that PowerShell screen. After that, again, I am trying to use this get hyphen AZ resource group. I am getting that error, no tenant found in the context like that. Same error, I got it.
With that, if you get tenant hyphen tenant, it will pick your tenant ID. Are you mentioning your tenant ID?
Yes.
Is it a correct one?
Yeah, correct one only.
From where you are picking the tenant ID?
In that portal, right? In Azure portal, their AD groups, their tenant ID is there, right? Our mail ID. Above that one, mail ID, one number is there. That one.
Okay, send me a screenshot. I'll check.
Okay, sure.
Anyone have any more questions? Yes, Kumar, do you have any more question? Okay.
No, sorry, by mistake.
Okay, so we'll start with our today's topic where we are first going to discuss about virtual network sizing. Sizing is very important. With the help of sizing, we got information that how many virtual machines we can create in single virtual network. Now, so for this one, what we need to do is just of all, we need to note down one IP address. We need to get one IP address and we can give any IP address, whichever we want to give, we can give there. But make sure the IP address which we are giving it, in that particular IP address, the last two digits are always needs to be 0. And first two digits can be any digit, but the maximum digit number you can give is 255. From 1 to 255, you can give any number here. And then here your number always needs to be 0. Like as per my PPT, I am giving the IP address as 172.16.0.0. And then I have mentioned as /16. This is the IP address. And what is this? /16 is a subnet mask. This is called a net mask also, or you can call it subnet mask. All the calculation done for our IP addresses is done by using these things. Because of these things, we are getting the how many IP address system is going to allocate to create our virtual machines. Now, as per my PPT, if I'm going to use /16, this will be the first IP address. This will be the last IP address. And total I got 65,536 IP addresses. This is mentioned in my PPT. But what is the calculation behind that? That I got 65,536 IP addresses. Anyone knows the how many bit of IPv4 IP address we have? IPv4 IP addresses of how many bit? Please confirm in the chat box if anyone knows those. Correct. I got the correct answer. 32 bit. IPv4 is of 32 bit. Whatever the number we are going to mention here, that particular number we need to minus with 32. So like I have mentioned 16. So 32 minus 16 is equal to 16. Now I got the result here as 16. So now I need to take the power of 2 16 times. Then we will get result as 65,556. Let me do the calculation for you guys. Just a minute, I have noted down that calculation. Let me open that calculation for you. Here's the calculation. 2 by power of 16, here is it, 2 multiplied by 1, 2. Like this, I have done the calculation 16 times. So when we have done this calculation 16 times, what result we are getting in the end? 65,536. With the help of this, we got information that this much of IP addresses system is going to allocate if I give /16 as subnet mask. Let's take example, I'll give 28. 32 minus 28 equal to 4. So now I need the power 2 by power of 4 equal to. Can you please check this calculation and let me know what will be the result? If I need to take the power of 4. Now, what we need to do is we need to do the calculation 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So what will be the result? 16 IPs. Like earlier we have done 16 times. We can calculate also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So if I'm doing calculation 16 times, I'm getting 65,536. And if I'm doing 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 16. That's what we have. So whatever the number we are mentioning, that particular number needs to minus with 32. And the result which you are getting for that particular result, you need to take the 2 by power of that result. And with the help of that, you can do calculation and you got information how many IP addresses you will get here. If you see here in my PPT, the same calculation given here also. 32-bit IPv4 /16 means 32 minus 16 equal to 16. And 2 by power of 16 is 65,536 IP addresses. Similarly, here we have mentioned /28. 4, 2 by power of 4 equal to 60. And as per Azure, The minimum number we can give it is /32. In this one, we will get just only one single IP address. And the maximum number we can give it is 2. In this one, we will get this much of IP addresses. Now here I've given one website details also. From there, you can do this calculation also. You don't need to do it manually, this calculation. This particular website can do the calculation. The only thing is you need to mention the IP address. Let me mention the IP address. This one. Click on calculate. See. So here I'm getting total host. Total host means how many IP addresses we are getting. If I give 28, this will be the first IP address and this will be the last IP. I can try with 20 also. $4,096. I can mention 24. $256 IP addresses. So whatever the subnet mask we are getting, because of that particular subnet mask, we are getting the calculation. Now I have told you it is done by using these three. By using subnet mask, the calculation is doing it. But by using these 2 zeros, system is allocating the IP addresses also. How it will assign the IP addresses, we will discuss that also. Now, any question anyone have regarding this calculation, please let me know, because if you're not able to understand this calculation, it's quite difficult for you to understand upcoming topics. So if you have any question, please ask me. Yes, General.
Sorry. Okay, so this is a just quick question. So the VCNet sizing, right? I'm just trying to get the understanding. So what is it about? Are we trying to allocate IP addresses or are we trying to find out that is the maximum IP addresses we will need for like a virtual network, or what are you trying to?
Whenever we are creating virtual network, we need to give one IP address. So I am giving the IP address also here. And with that IP address, I am giving the range of IP addresses also. That I am getting 65,536 IP. In one single thing, we are doing both the work.
Okay.
We are allocating the IP address also. With allocating the IP address, we are giving the range of IP addresses also.
Okay.
With the help of subnet mask. Okay. Anyone have any more questions? Okay. So let me share that details, website details in the chat box with you guys. So I have shared that website details in the chat box. Now, next. Now we are going to discuss about subnet. Subnet is where we are going to divide our virtual network in small parts. Each part is called as subnet. Like in previous session, we have discussed that this is Azure region. Under Azure region, where I pick my own personal space, that personal space is called as virtual network. But now let's say example, this is our virtual network. I'm dividing my virtual network in small parts. My virtual network, if I'm dividing in small parts, each part is called as subnet. Is it mandatory to create subnets? Yes, it is mandatory to create subnets. We are not directly creating our machines in virtual network. We are creating our machines in subnet. And whenever we are creating subnet, for subnet also we need to allocate one IP address. But we can't give any different IP address. We need to give the range of IP address from this particular IP address which we are giving here. From this particular IP address, we need to give that IP address range. You can't choose any other range. If you are going to choose any other range, system will give you the error message. Now, which IP address range we are giving? Let's take example. My IP address range is right now I have given as this one. I'll go with the same example. This is the IP address range I have given to my VPC and I got 65,536 IP addresses. From those 65,536 IP address, I need to assign few IP addresses to my subnet also. So let's take example. There I'm giving 172.16.0.0/24. Now what will happen with this? This is my VPC. This is my first subnet. I'll give name as one subnet. If I give this IP address range, what will happen from those 65,536 IP addresses? System will minus few of the IP address. How many it is going to do? Let's take the calculation. 256. So minus 256 from here, and those 256 IP addresses going to allocate to our subnet. And how many IP addresses are pending now in VPC? Let's calculate. 67536 minus 256. This much of IP addresses are pending under our VPC, and those 256 IP addresses now allocated to our subnet. Now I need to create one more subnet. So there I'm giving 172.16.1.0. So the third number which we have, this third number we are using for subnets. So 0, then 1, then 2 I'm using here. /24. 256. So from 65,280 minus 256, 65,024 IP addresses. So this much of IP addresses are pending under our VPC, and 256 and these 256 IP addresses we have allocated to our subnet. So like this, how many subnets we can create under single virtual network? 3,000 subnets. In one single virtual network, we can create 3,000 subnet. So if I'm going to create one more 172.16.2.0/24 256, and in this one it will be pending as 6476. So this much of IP addresses are now pending under our virtual network. Any question anyone have regarding this? Please let me know. Yes, Kumar.
Yeah, see, as per my understanding, VNet, you are sharing that parts of the subnets. In that first one, you are giving IP/16. In that total is 65536. In second,
This is just a minute. This is the IP address which I allocated to my virtual network.
yes, yes,
And now I'm dividing my virtual network in small parts.
yes.
Those
In
things we call it as subnet.
Yes. In that 24, how you can give that 24 number?
I can give any number there also.
Okay, that is okay.
I can even give 20 also there. But if I give 20, I got 4096. But in that particular case, I can't use the next number as 1 here. Because 4096 IP addresses I got. And here I got information what will be the first, what will be the last. Let me do the calculation. This will be the first IP address and this will be the last. So it means the next subnet which I need to create, for this one, I need to give the IP address 172.16.16.0 because 15.255 IP address is allocating to my first subnet.
Okay.
So the second one is this one, and here I can give 24 again, or I want to give 20, I can give like this also.
Okay. In real time, as per the document, we have to create it, or client has to tell
client that as per the client, not as per our own requirement. Definitely, client is going to inform us.
Okay. You are giving 24 means in that each subnet has is minus 26 256 is IP addresses will come.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So we have taken this /24. The same question from my side also. So it is 2 raised to power 8, hence it is 256 IPs per subnet, right? And this will be and this will goes like this only, right? These are 2 raised to power 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So one more time, can you explain this? The first and the last. First will be .0.0 from that website. Right? It is coming, right?
That's right. Which one are you talking about? This one?
Yes. And
so whenever the Amit range we are giving here we got information what will be the first IP address and what will be the last IP address of that particular range which I'm giving.
Yes.
So with the help of this one, it will be easy for you to get the next IP address which you want to give to your subnet. Because in one single bit, we have total 256 IP addresses. 256. So the first IP address is 0. The last IP address is 255. Okay. So based on that particular subnet mask, it is doing the calculation.
So if we calculate like /24, so it will be 256 total host will be there.
Correct. So this will be the first IP address and this will be the last IP address.
Okay, got it. And sometimes we use this series like 10 dot something.
Yes, you can go with that. It's actually a very common series 10.0.0. This is a very common series which most of the clients are using it. But there is no restriction that I only need to use this one. No. Even I can go with 28.0.0 also. I can go with 28.200.0.0 also. I can give 172.0.0 also. Any range, whichever your client wants. we can
Yeah.
use that. Yeah, this one is very commonly used,
This is common,
but there is no restrictions from
192 is
Azure
also
side.
common.
Yes, 192 is also very common. 172 is also very common. But in cloud platform, there is no restriction that I only need to go with those one which are very common. I can go with any of the rates. Okay, Amit? Anyone have any more questions? Now coming to a very important point about subnet. Whenever we create any subnet, what will happen? System will reserve 5 IP addresses for each subnet. Each means if I'm going to create 10 subnets, for all 10 subnets, system is going to reserve 5 IP addresses. Which 5 IP addresses? First 4 and last. First 4 and the last 1 IP address system is going to reserve. Now, if I talk about as per my PPT, if I'm giving this particular range to my virtual network, and this is the range I have given to my subnet 192.168.100.0/24. So I got 256 IP addresses. And out of those 256 IP addresses, system is going to reserve 5 IP address. So it means how many are pending for us? 251. And which 4? As per this particular range, this will be the first IP address. This will be the second IP address. This will be the third IP address. Fourth, and the fifth IP address. And if I talk about as per this particular range, which is mentioned in my PPT, but in my notepad file, it will reserve this IP addresses: 16.0.1, 172.16.0.2, 172.16.0.3, and 172.16.0.255. So whenever you are going to create any subnet, for each subnet, Azure is going to reserve 5 IP addresses. And what is the reason behind for reserving those IP addresses? It is mentioned here. It is mentioned here. You can remember these also. It can be your interview question. For which reason they are reserving those IP addresses. And it is not optional, it is mandatory. For each subnet, they are going to reserve 5 IP addresses. So if I give /24, it means we will get 251 IP addresses. It means I can create 251 virtual machines in this particular subnet if I'm giving /20. Let's take example, we need 29 IP addresses. So can I give /27? With /27, I got 32 IP addresses. But 5 IP address is going to reserve by the AWS. So how many are pending? 27 IP addresses. So I can't use /27 as subnet because system is reserving those 5 IP address, and because of that we just only left 27 IP addresses. But our requirement is we need minimum 29 IP addresses. So which one we can go with? /26. In /26, I got 64 IP addresses. 64 minus 5, 59. So we got 59 IP. So this is how we can do the calculation for our subnet also. In Azure, we can create different types of subnets we can create. For few subnets, there are mandatory names we have. For few subnets, we don't have any mandatory name. The only thing is for that particular topic, we need to create a separate subnet. In which are those cases we need to create separate subnet, we are going to discuss in our upcoming session when we'll reach to that particular topic. But right now, I'm going to tell you that we are going to create two separate subnets, which it's not mandatory, but we are creating. One, we are creating private subnet, other we are creating public subnet. In public subnet, we are creating those machines which needs to be used publicly access. Like in previous session, we have created web server. Web server is a machine which needs to be accessed publicly. In private subnet, we are creating those machines which we don't want to be accessed publicly, like database server. So we are not creating our machines, those which is not required for public in public subnet, those which we want only use internally in organization like database, those machine we are creating in private subnet. And it is not optional, it is also we are going to make it as mandatory because we want to create machines in different subnet. With the help of that, by mistake, we are not providing any public access to these machines. That is why we need different subnets. So we can differentiate that this particular machines are under public subnet, these machines are under private subnet. So right now I'm just going to create two subnets, but in our upcoming session, when we learn about few more topics, we'll create more subnets. At that time, we have some mandatory names for our subnet, and in few cases, we have only mandatory subnet. At that time, there is no mandatory name given by the Azure. In which are those cases, you will understand in upcoming session, and you need to remember those subnet names also which are mandatory from Azure. Now, any question anyone have, please let me know so we can start practically now how to create virtual network and subnet. Anyone have any question? Yes, General.
Okay, so for the calculations you were doing, right? Do you have it? Do you have it on the PowerPoint, or you don't have it?
With the PowerPoint, it is mentioned all those things.
Oh, so you have that, right?
See here, it is mentioned now. That it is mentioned.
No, I mean, earlier on you were doing the 32 minus.
It is also mentioned here.
You also have it on the PowerPoint. Okay.
It is mentioned. Everything is mentioned. The only thing in this calculation is not mentioned.
That's the one that I was asking.
This one is not mentioned. So that's why for this one, I'm sharing the PPT. Sorry, that website.
Okay.
The website details which I've shared in the chat box.
Yeah, so I will go and check, but if you can also put it on the chat, that would be great. What you just did.
You can't actually copy this particular thing, which if I'm going to paste, you can't copy these things from the chat box. It is restricted. Okay, let me do one thing. Just a minute. I have one idea. Just a minute.
Okay, sure.
I'll save in the notepad. I'll just give the name as CAL, and I'll upload this file in the chat box. You can download this particular file.
Thank you so much. Thank
Just
you.
a minute, let me
I
do
appreciate
this
it. Thank you so
thing.
much.
So upload from computer and desktop. Here is it. So I've uploaded that particular file. I think you can download this one.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyone have any more questions? Okay. Now we are going to learn about how to create virtual network. To create virtual network, first of all, we need a resource group. That's mandatory. So I'm going to create a resource group. Region to view plus create. Click on it. Now search virtual network. Here. On create. Selecting a resource group. Giving the name to my virtual network. Region central. Now go to next IP address. Now if you see here, by default system is giving a range 10.0.0.0/60. If you want to use this range, you can use it. Or if you don't want to use, we have an option I can delete also. And then I can enter manually also. Let me use the same range which is Azure is giving us. So I'm going to use 10.0.0/16 for my virtual network. Scroll down. And here I can create subnet. So add subnet. Here I need to give the name of my subnet. Subnet name also can be anything. I'll give as public subnet 140. 10.0.0.0/20. See here, when I give /24, it is mentioned 251 plus 5 Azure reserved IP address. Click on that. Let's add one more subnet. So we have created how many subnets? Only 2 subnets. Like this, we can create maximum 3000 subnets in one single virtual. So first of all, we need to give the IP address range to our virtual network. Then we need to create subnet. Let's create one more subnet. I'm not going to create. I'm just going to show you something. Let's take example. Here I give some different range. I give 10.1.2.0/24. Let's say that by mistake, I'm trying to give this one. See here, error message. The subnet address is not contained in this virtual network address spaces. When I click on add, again, I'm getting the error message. So if you try to give any other range or if you try to overwrite any range, system will give you the error message there. Now I'm going to click on cancel, and I'm going to click on review plus create and click on create. And it is not mandated that for public subnet you need to use this range. The same subnet range you can use for private also, or this particular range you can use for public also. While creating that subnet, the only things you need to give the range. It is not mandatory. The first one always need to go with public. No, first one go with private also. So it's up to you or up to your client documentation. You need to follow their process. Yes, Casper. Yes, Casper, you can unmute.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Casper.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I saw you just created one private and one public subnet. Are we allowed to create more than, let's say, if you want it to be highly available, can you create more than two public, one public subnet and more than one public private subnet too as well? Because just sorry on the example, if you take just one each.
No, I didn't understand your question, Casper, what you're trying to say.
I'm asking if you can create more than one subnet in
more
each,
than one subnet. That's why you have a limit of 3,000 subnet in one single virtual network.
Okay.
So you can give that, or you can give a bigger range to this also. You can give /20 also. You can give, if you give /20, you'll get 4,096 IP addresses.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. You can give a big range to that particular subnet also.
Okay.
Okay.
I understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
any more questions?
Prof, you did not respond to my troubleshooting. I did not
have already reply you. I didn't get any reply from yours. I'm waiting for your reply.
I did not see the replies. The very first day you said
please search, please search our email ID. Please search my email ID.
I did.
If you want, I can open your email right now.
I
have already. That's why I know that I have already replied.
I don't. The very first day you said you replied, I searched for it. I could not see the email. If you can forward the
I have replied
reply again to me.
I have replied after 3 hours. You have emailed me at 8:42 a.m. on 28th of July. I have replied on 28th of July at 11:21 a.m.
Oh my God. Prof, can you send the reply to me? I will check on my spam.
I'll forward again. I'll forward the
okay,
email.
thank you. I will check on it. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yes, Amit, you can approach.
Yeah. So let's say we have selected 10.0.0.0/16 as a network space, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So our subnet range we have taken as /24. So let's say we take address space as 10.0.0.0/24. Start with address space as /24. Then what will be the first subnet? No.
Okay, here you are taking .24.
Yeah. So what will be the first subnet there?
So you can give, as per your client requirement, you can give 28 also here. But if you give 20, you'll get very less IP addresses. Because in this one, only you'll get only 256 IP address. So those 256 IP addresses you need to divide under your subnets.
So less VMs will be created. So this might be the case we are not taking /24 as this one.
Yes. So minimum every client is for virtual network, they go with 16. But if you want, you can go with /2 also. But if you go with /2, you'll get the numbers even in millions you are getting. Okay. Any more questions, Amit?
So this is basically after the client request only, or?
Yes, correct. Whatever the client wants, based on that, we are creating those subnets and virtual. Okay. Yes, Devendra.
Actually, here we have given space network space as a 10.0.0.16, right? Now, if we want to use another subnet range also, like 192 series, okay, so can we add multiple
Yes, it is
subnet space?
possible. Address, you can go to address space. Here we have an
Okay.
option we can add.
Multiple space also we can keep. Like,
Yes.
so
in
there is
single
no
virtual.
restriction. There is no restriction that this much address space we can keep.
I'm not sure the maximum how many add we can do that. That I'm not 100% sure. But 2, I'm sure that we can add it. I'm not sure more than 2 we can add or not.
Okay.
Okay, because 2 they are giving it. I did because I didn't try it this thing, so I'm not 100% sure that how many we can add.
Okay, because see, sometime we are using some ranges for the management and some ranges for the backup and some ranges for the standby network, like that. Minimum 4 or 5 ranges
You
we are
can
using
mention
normally.
it, or you can create a separate virtual networks also. That is also
Okay.
possible.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have created our virtual network and we have created our subnet also. Now, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to create a virtual machine in our public subnet. Till that time also we are creating virtual machines. But till that time, whatever the virtual machines we are creating in a default subnet which system is automatically creating. But this time we are going to select our own virtual network. So first of all, let me give the name. I'll go with the password option. With SSH, I'm going to enable HTTP port also. In disk, we don't need to do anything here. Now we need to go to networking tab. If you see here in networking tab, system is automatically selecting our own virtual network. Because earlier, before this today's session, earlier system is automatically creating our virtual network based on the name I'm giving to my virtual machine. But this is the first time system is automatically selecting this virtual network because we have already created our virtual network. And here I'm getting 2 subnets, public subnet and private subnet. So I'm going to select public subnet. And here system is going to create one public IP for our virtual machine. And here is the name of our public IP. Here we have NSG. NSG needs to be basic or advanced. If you are giving none, none means we are not going to for this particular virtual machines. And for our private machine, I'm going to select as none. Why? We will discuss later. But what is the basic one? Basic means system is going to create a new NSG. Advanced means if you have existing NSG, you can select that particular NSG also here. But I don't have any existing NSG. So if you see here, system is going to create a new NSG. With the help of advanced option, you can select the same NSG to multiple virtual machines. But if you don't have any existing NSG, system is going to create a new one. With basic option, system is always going to create a new NSC. And here we need to enable those port number which we are enabling right now for this particular machine, HTTP and SSH port. Then I'm going with the advanced tab. And under advanced tab, I'm going to add that particular script. Here is a script which I'm going to copy. And I'm going to paste. To review, just create validation pass. So we are able to create our virtual machine in our public subnet. Now I'll go to virtual network. Here we have something called subnets also. Now see here how many IP addresses are available. For public subnet, it is showing 250. For private subnet, it is showing 250. It is showing 251 because 5 IP addresses are reserved. It is showing 250 because 5 IP addresses are reserved and 1 IP address we have used for our virtual machine. Let me go to my virtual machine. Before that, let me go to my people. We have used this range. So as per this particular range, system is reserving which IP addresses 10.0.0.0, 10.0.0.1, 10.0.0.2, 10.0.0.3, and 10.0.0.255. This is the range they have reserved. So if we are going to create a virtual machine, what will be the IP address system is going to allocate? 10.0.0.4. Azure is working on the sequential order. So first 4 they have reserved. So what is the next IP address? 10.0.0.4, and this particular IP address they have allocated to our virtual machine. If I'm going to create one more in the same subnet, system will assign this particular IP address to my virtual machine. In the same sequential order, they are good. So let's create one more virtual machine. And this time I'm going to create in private subnet, and then I'm going to tell you about the none option which we are informed. For a source group, password option, done. Now go to networking option. Subnet needs to be private one. Now, let me come to my PPT also. I'm creating a virtual machine in private subnet. It means I want this particular machine needs to be private. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm giving public IP as none here. Why I'm giving public IP as none? Because this is private machine. And for a private machine, I don't want any public IP address. If I don't give any public IP address, this particular machine will not get any public IP address. It means this machine, we can't connect publicly. Like earlier, what we are doing, we are noting down a public IP and directly with putty, we are able to connect. But if I'm not giving public IP, I can't connect to this machine publicly. And here we have an option called NSG as none also. If I give NSG as none, system is not going to enable any of the port number for this particular machine. And we have discussed in previous session, to connect any Linux machine, it is mandatory to enable a port number called SSH. But if I give as none, system is not enabling any port number. It means this particular machine now, I can't connect from my local machine. I can do anything. It is not possible I can do that. So how we can connect to this machine? If I give NSG also as none, we will learn in our upcoming session. In Azure, we have some services. With the help of that particular service, we can connect to this private machines, where we are not giving any public IP address and where we are not giving any port number we are going to enable. Without enabling of this particular SSH port number also, I can connect to this machine, but with few of the Azure services. What are those services? We will learn in our upcoming session. So I have given virtual network, our private subnet, IP addresses none, NSGS. Click on review plus create. Validation passed. Click on done. So we have created our machine in our private subnet. And if I check here, you can see here 250 IP addresses are renting. And here we have an option called connected devices. Under connected devices, you can see all your virtual machine, whichever you have created under this particular virtual network. In which particular specific subnet we can get information, what IP address system is allocating, that also we are getting the information. So all the details you will get here also. Now I go to the resource. You can see here, this particular machine is not having any public IP, but this machine is having private. Without private IP, it is impossible to create a machine. But without public IP, it is possible we can create our virtual machine. Yes, Charan, you can answer.
That means you told to 1, 2, 3 are left, then 4 from IP address I am talking about. From 4 to they are allocating IP addresses.
Yes, because first 4 they are reserving it, huh? First 4 and the last one.
Yeah, that okay. Those are not allocated to anyone.
Those are reserved IP addresses. The reason mentioned in my previous PPT. Reasons are also we have given now. In the same PPT, then previous steps it is mentioned. And it can be very important interview questions, Charan.
Okay.
These are the reasons I have given here. Okay, you just need to remember these reasons.
Okay, reserve 250.
Okay.
After 255, no IP address.
All are reserved for under that particular subnet. So that after those 251 IP addresses are pending it, whichever is pending at 5 are reserved, between 256 are completed.
This is completed. Oh,
If
okay.
256 are completed, then you can't create any more virtual machine in that particular subnet.
Oh,
Okay.
got.
Anyone have any more questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have shown us earlier one error was coming when we selected the wrong
Yes.
subnet. Right. So can you
Range.
show us once again that
Yes.
error? Why did that come? Because we selected the wrong last two digits, right?
So just let me again create a new subnet. And I'll just give a name as ABC. You can see right now system is by default picking the range. But if I give 10.1.2.0/24, that time we are getting this particular.
Yeah, so we have selected 10.1 instead of 10.0. It should be
Correct.
0 because the last two digits of this
the first two digits are actually our range which we are giving it. And upcoming for the subnet, and the fourth one is for our virtual machine which we are allocated.
Yes.
Okay.
So while creating private VM, now coming to private VM. So while creating private VM, we are not going to advanced tab. In public VM, we had gone to advanced tab, right? While creating VM.
Because in advanced tab, I'm adding the script because I want to make that particular machine as web server. I have added our web server script, which we have added in our starting of our training. The same script. So now if I check the public IP of this particular machine, system is going to open the web server here. The web page which system is built.
I was writing something, so I missed this.
See here, the same script. Okay, so this is our web server and this is our private machine. Okay. Anyone have any more questions? Okay. So with this, I'm ending the session here. In tomorrow's session, we will continue with the same topic. This topic is not yet completed, and this topic is interlinked with our upcoming sessions also. So these are the few sessions which are interlinked with each other. These few PPTs. So it means tomorrow's session is also interlinked to our topic. We will complete this particular topic in the tomorrow's session. Thank you all. Thank you for joining today's session. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Thank you.